children. That's on History Channel. Over 5,000 school children were kidnapped and taken to CIA facilities in Toronto by Dr. Ewing Cameron, who was able to program them into new identities and to basically work as government delivery agents with multiple personalities to have a one personality that would deliver a message and another personality that was dominant. And they had them as sex slaves, Project Monarch. I'm not making this up. Look it up. But I'd forgotten all the other cases. Another one was just popping in my head where it was mind control. This guy looks like mind control, but he may have been culturally mind controlled. His statements were reportedly, black people are taking over and taking over our women. No, actually, black people's population is not growing, and black people are a test model for destroying everybody and are just in absolute hell with their unemployment doubled and just under total attack. Contrary to what, if he is some cornball, racist idiot, loser, who was brought up to, I mean, obviously he was mad. He's 21. You think this guy could get a girlfriend? So then he got upset, if he really is organic attacker, and went out because he thought somebody was, quote, getting his women. Spoken like someone that can't get any women. I can't get any women because of the black people. No, you can't get any women because you're a freak. If you really did this. But he's got the 1,000-yard stare of somebody who's been mind controlled. David Knight's coming in the next segment to break down the 10 white people that were shot and killed out of 40-plus that were shot, a story you probably never heard about, and how it turned out that, I remember at the time, it came out on the news, that a lot of folks said that the pro-apartheid people had actually hired contractors and mercenaries to do it because it turned out some of the shooters were white, and they never really got to the bottom of it. And that, of course, was to stop apartheid being banned, is to kill a bunch of white people. So, is it a false flag? I don't know. We're going to be investigating it. Paul Watson has an investigative report on Infowars.com. Charlton shooting, what they're not telling you. He just filed this report at Infowars.com. Again, the suspect is in custody. Theodore Kaczynski, LA Times. Alexander Cockburn was the writer. It was declassified that he was in Project MK Ultra for 30 years. And now he's in a Supermax in Colorado and never even gets to see the sky and doesn't get to talk to anybody. The Department of Justice decides that prisoners can talk to people. And guess what? He can't talk to anybody. We're going to skip this network break because this is so important. And we're going to play Paul Watson's special report. Then David Knight's coming in here after that break. But one of the reporters, or I guess I need to, because all these examples of false flags were just popping in my head and admissions of mass shootings and things that it turned out had been staged. And there's so many of them, I can't even remember some of them. It'll pop my head for a minute and then I'll move on to something else. It's just littered with them. I mean, is this a false flag? I don't know. But even if it's not, the culture of hyping race war is a form of soft mind control. Just like 2020 did a report, how death education, even ABC News got it right, after just a few years of death education, suicide in young girls tripled. It went up almost double in boys, but boys aren't as suggestible as girls in those age groups. And suicide tripled because 10 and 11 and 12-year-old girls were not thinking about how to commit suicide with a shoelace. I remember how much trouble we'd get in watching fake wrestling, and then there'd be kids that thought it was real and that you could get up after you body slam somebody, and they'd pick a kid up. I never did this, but I knew kids that got in a lot of trouble, and they'd body slam. Saw it a few times. body slam somebody on the playground and, break their back or break ribs. It's the same thing. People watch this, they hear this, and they don't understand that you can kill people. Body slamming somebody. Well, it's the same thing with suicide education. And teen suicide has exploded. It's like they educate girls on cutting and have seminars on don't cut yourself. And then what do the girls all do? They all run off and start cutting themselves. The DARE program has been proven to cause increased drug use. You go in and show them drugs, show them how to use it. 10-year-olds aren't thinking about that. It's insane. Let's go to Paul Watson's report. We're going to come back with David Knight in studio.
Leftists pounced on the Charleston shooting before the bodies were even cold to push their twin agenda of gun control and racial division. Liberals are hastily exploiting this tragic incident to fabricate the myth that there are armies of white people waiting to commit violent hate crimes against blacks. They're even advocating that only white people be disarmed, an inverse of early racist gun control laws which targeted black people. The reality is somewhat different. Here's what they're not telling you. There's no wave of hate crimes being committed by whites against black people. Justice Department figures show that black people comprise 13% of hate crime victims, a figure in line with their population numbers. White people, on the other hand, comprise 65% of hate crime victims. And from 2003 to 2006, black people comprised just 7% of hate crime victims. Black people are responsible for half of all homicides within the United States, despite making up only 13% of the population. Department of Justice statistics show that between 1980 and 2008, blacks committed 52% of homicides compared to 45% of homicides committed by whites. There's clearly a problem of violent criminality within the black community, but hardly anyone is talking about it. Despite being outnumbered by whites 5-1, blacks commit 8 times more crimes against whites than vice versa, according to FBI statistics. A black male is 40 times more likely to assault a white person than the reverse. Incidents involving hate crimes, including murders, where the perpetrator is black and the victim is white, are almost universally ignored by the mainstream media. For years, the phenomenon of overwhelmingly black people randomly attacking white people on the street was disguised by the press, calling it the knockout game, when in reality it represented a disturbing wave of violent black-on-white hate crime. And once again, we're seeing this dumb argument made by liberals who claim that the Charleston shooting isn't being called an act of terrorism simply because the perpetrator is white. They seem to be incapable of visiting dictionary.com and finding out that terrorism means to use violence to coerce for political purposes, particularly targeting institutions of government. Newsflash: when white guys commit acts of terror which are politically motivated, they are labeled terrorists. Bill Ayers, Ted Kaczynski, Timothy McVeigh, Eric Robert Rudolph. They were all denounced as terrorists. When Ishmael Abdullah Brinsley shot 2 NYPD cops in the head last December in a Black Lives Matter revenge attack, which was clearly politically motivated, he wasn't called a terrorist. So by that benchmark, neither should the Charleston shooter. Many on the left even demanded that the Germanwings suicide pilot be labelled a terrorist simply because he was white, when that incident had zero political motivation whatsoever. Same thing with the Chapel Hill shooting. Just like the NYPD shooting, racial division, fueled by the Black Lives Matter movement, in coordination with the Obama Justice Department on one side, and white supremacists on the other side, who hide behind racism to ignore the very real problem of police brutality, meant that the Charleston shooting was all too predictable. Should law-abiding blacks be made to feel guilty for disproportionately high black homicide rates? No, but by the same token, law-abiding whites should not be figuratively put on trial and pressured to atone for their white guilt and relinquish their Second Amendment rights in response to events like the Charleston shooting. So long as the debate continues to be centered around hating on and shaming people for their skin color, resentment on both sides will continue to boil over, encouraging mentally disturbed people to violently act out, with more innocent victims being the price we pay for our obsession with race. Check out the other videos, subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul Joseph Watson for Infowars.com.
We've told you that the soft targets are going to start getting hit. They're going to claim it's right-wingers. The Feds said. The patriots, the veterans, the conservatives are going to attack minorities. They're going to attack the government. We need to federalize everything right now. And then they hype a culture that with their algorithms and with their actuaries and with their cultural programs, they can then predict with certainty, almost down to when it's going to happen and what area, when crime is going to be committed. That's the new pre-crime computers they've got that are pretty darn accurate. So they're hyping this, and police departments and folks have noticed it, that they're being targeted. And again, we're not defending corrupt police departments or bad cops. The point is, they're trying to cause civil unrest and a civil war to smokescreen the TPP, new banker bailouts, and Europe that is diving into a depression right now. To me, that's the biggest story here. What is the tragic death of 9 black people at church by this cold-blooded killer, if you believe the official story? I don't know. I mean, how could you believe it when the government's been caught doing it over and over again? But regardless, whether it's hardcore mind control, classic mind control, or just cultural mind control, this obsession with race and this pushing it has caused it. And as more whites get attacked, and as it comes out on the internet, you're going to have mentally ill people that are mad because they can't get a girlfriend because they're weirdos, who are going to go out and target black people, and vice versa. Hispanic immigrants in California don't get along very well with black people. In fact, it's the worst relations out there. They're targeting blacks and killing them. Do we blame all Hispanics? No. This is a time bomb, though, ladies and gentlemen. This is America turning into a giant prison culture where we're all divided into our groups, and the globalists sit there as the warden and as the jail guards. That's the model. George Soros isn't pushing a revolution to give you all socialism and free goodies. When they're done, we're going to live under a federalized, hardcore fascist police state. That's what he's done in Ukraine, funding literal Heiling Hitler Nazis. We're going to go to David Knight in the rest of this segment, the next, with breaking news. But before we do that, Liver Shield is one of the best-selling products we've ever had. It's only been out 3 days. It's simply amazing. You can take it every day with key concentrated herbs for overall liver health on record, or you can do the cleanse that I'm currently doing right now. For some folks, this cleanse is smooth. For some, it's a little rough with the apple cider vinegar. But regardless, just Google gallstones, go to InfoWarsLife.com, watch the informational video in the Liver Shield area, and you can see us break it down and show photos of gallstones. Most people have a bunch of stones, and when almost everybody takes this and does the 6-day cleanse, you flush them out of your body, and it's not painful for almost everyone like a kidney stone is very painful. I've passed a bunch of these 6 months ago when I did this at first. Was not painful. The apple cider vinegar can upset your stomach if you do it on an empty stomach. And the oxy powder flushes out your guts, and that's just more of an irritant for 6 days. But it's very exciting. I want to thank you all for your support. You really get fast, quick results for almost everyone. You've heard the reviews of the other products, read the reviews. They're 5-star. We are selling out of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. If you want to secure that, we're almost sold out of that. We're working to try to get the raw material and produce more. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And again, you also need your Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Organic 2.0 at InfoWarsHealth.com for all the wonderful longevity line of products. When you purchase it there, you can get free shipping with auto ship and a 30% discount when you first sign up to be a member. Costs, $10 to be a member at InfoWarsHealth.com. And that purchase also funds our operations, InfoWarsHealth.com. And you can also go to InfoWarsLife.com to find our products. The new Liver Shield is out, and can't wait to hear your reviews of that. David Knight, we're going to break in 4 minutes, but you brought to my attention something I'd forgotten about. Because I remember reading about this years after it happened when I got on air in 95, that there'd been a false flag in South Africa to blame black people. and it was never completely proven, but it was white gunmen attacking whites in a church. Let's